on this computer. Great. So welcome. For those of us who are already on the call on time, I want to introduce Lisa Patel, our president of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. Lisa, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to us today. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, good morning. You know what, Charles, we got to raise the energy. I know it's Thursday. You and I were just talking about new moon. So from me to all of you, hello, Remax West. I know the last time that you had somebody from TRREB, of course, it was John D. Michelle, who gave an amazing presentation. And so a lot of the stuff that he's talked about, we are working on. And what I have come to share with you is just some high level what's happening, things to look out for or to sign up for. And to start with that, first off, I mean, we had the market year in review outlook report that was delivered on Monday. And I want to open this up to be more about conversational with you guys. So any takeaways? You know, I love hearing feedback. I know the feedback survey was sent. Was there anything that stood out? Or was it a surprise as to what's expected in 2021?
I think 10% is the big thing that I took notice on. Actually, I was going to maybe leave this to the end, but how are we going to deal with speculation out there with this kind of information going out there? It just seems like this would be really attractive for an investor to take a look at and say, well, if this is the prediction, I'm jumping into this market. Is that the intention here, or what do you think?
You know what, we produce these reports every year. This one is probably one of the best that I've seen from TRREB in a long time. I will say that over the years and being involved in organized real estate for the last 6, I thought this one was well done. The digital version was incredible, so easy to follow along. But in terms of insights for people, I mean, you know what, you guys are the experts, and people are always going to put out perceptions. I mean, look at CMHC's predictions, right? You know, it was almost like walking into a deja vu of 2020 with that same thing. You know, we walked into 2020 and all of a sudden demand was at its highest, and CMHC is all of a sudden saying, oh yeah, we're going to have a decline. We're going to have a decline. And here we are 2021. And it's like, aha moment. Didn't we just witness this in 2020? You know, demand at its highest again, and CMHC coming out with the same things. And so ultimately, what I will tell you, TRREB has partners around the world. We have partners. We are partners with Miami, Florida, and in December, we became partners with France. And I've got some more on that, which I'm going to share in a bit. But our partners and having conversations with them. And I will tell you, this real estate demand is not only a GTA thing, it's not only an Ontario thing, and it's not only a Canada thing. We are seeing the same effects across North America. So the demand even in Florida and Miami is still very high. So we know that in general, real estate has taken up to new levels all over the world. And I will tell you, and it's interesting to watch too, as speaking to fellow presidents across Ontario, Windsor is up from December to January 35%. So it's just incredible, the amount of things, and having conversations yesterday in Kingston, and they were talking about their realtors are making more than 17%. So we're seeing this surge, and we knew, and if you paid attention to John D's presentation the last time, he said this was going to happen. And I've heard it too many times. That's why I'm laughing in my head, because I use his analogies in the back of my mind. But the reality is that demand is there. And at some point, whenever they do open up the borders, that there's going to be an even stronger demand. And I always think about, okay, so if we've got 400,000 immigrants potentially coming in the next 4 to 5 years, we have to think, okay, how are we going to service them? How are we going to create supply? We know that it takes, 100,000 people or what is it? The Builders Association said 35,000 homes or something. And so we know that that's not enough. And of course, the missing middle piece to that report is so critical. But right now, what we need more than ever is government to actually take in that report and listen and actually say, okay, I get it. Instead of some of the stuff that's coming out. So TRREB's GRC, their GRC task force, as well as the committee, have been working with government the last 2 days in speaking to them and trying to let them understand what's really happening with the real estate side. The good thing for us is, you know, we're one of their favorites because we are the economic engine. So not that that's going to stay like that. We know that, you know, it's a teeter-totter effect. But right now, because of everything that you guys do on a daily basis, for sellers, for buyers, for renters, for the business community, I commend you and thank you for your service to this industry and really taking Ontario's economy to the next level.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I think everyone would agree. It is a good news report. I think the outlook is good news for homeowners. I'm thinking from a lot of my agents who have a lot of buyers who are very frustrated with buyers in this market. How does this report speak to them?
Okay, so I'm speaking, and so we had a media session on Monday right after that Outlook report, and that was a similar question that came up. And I also think I look back at last year. You know, if we go back to March 2020, nothing was happening, and the minute that Ontario started to open up, the numbers opened up, right? The sales started happening. People decided that they wanted to sell. And I think part of it is, you know, we've got weather as a factor. I think that being in the lockdown situation. So I think once those restrictions are opened up and the marketplace is opened up a lot more, that we will start to see more of that supply come out. You know, there's probably people in your database that are sitting there contemplating, but not sure at this moment if this is the right time or is there's another, or they should wait, right? And it's the hardest thing is educating the public about what the right time is, right? And that's really connecting yourselves to that emotional level. And in terms of that report, it's now taking pieces of that report and simplifying it so that to the point that people will understand it. I mean, you guys are experts, and it's taking something and recreating it, rebranding it to a point of people understanding it.
Okay, that's a great insight. So my takeaway from this is that we think that inventory is coming back once these restrictions are eased, and we shouldn't be as worried. Like, this is not a normal.
Okay, so I will say this: it is very tight. You know, there's moments where I sit on the phone with John, and John is the CEO, and of course, and I'm just like, John, I'm a little nervous right now, you know, where we're going. And but I think that once if we follow history and see, you know, what happened in last year, then we know that there's going to be more supply. But the challenge is there's not going to be enough supply when we look at the big level, a bigger picture. And that is thinking about, okay, you know, immigration's going to open, all of those aspects. Sure, it will infill some of it, but there's still not going to be enough. And that's really where we need the government to really step in and understand what we're talking about.
Can you give us a little bit of insight on how that actually works and how TRREB lobbies the government to try to, you know, address some of these issues?
So we have regular scheduled meetings with the government on even, I would say, more than a quarterly basis. And I mean, even in 2021, we're going to see a lot of different, a lot of upcoming changes with regards to the government. Like the Titles Act is going to come in, which doesn't take a place right away. I mean, they still got to do research on these things, but there's still a lot more that government policies that TRREB has great relationships with all levels of government, and our GRC department actually works hand in hand with them and sets up appointments and really speaks to the issues that are impacting not only Ontarians but Canadians.
Arnell is asking a question on maybe clarification what the Titles Act encompasses.
So it's still in the Titles Act is where they're actually talking about changing the tenants in common situation. So it hasn't been released as of yet. It's been only talked about on an accounting standpoint. And I know that more is supposed to come out come June 2021. So we're still waiting for that. So here's the thing, I will tell you, and to that point, things like this. We are fully aware of some of the policies that are being discussed. And so we're also ready and waiting to be part of those conversations.
Excellent, excellent. And my favorite topic, I'm not sure how much insight you can provide, is the technology. Now, you and I had
I'm rolling my eyes. I knew what was coming.
Of course you knew it was coming. But you and I had a very interesting conversation, and I loved your perspective. Do you want to share with us your perspective on TRREB's position in our industry in regards to technology?
So I will tell you this, and I will tell you this from being one of you as well as being on the inside. I'm so proud of TRREB and where they're going with technology. It is going to be incredible. And then just ask, keep the seatbelt on. There is so much more to come. And unfortunately, you know what, I think a lot of this stuff would have been already rolled out. But ever since we've walked into this pandemic, which is almost a year, there has been delays all over the place. And it's just not only technology delays. Like there's like my instance is let's go. And TRREB's like, okay, we're trying, and it's been a hard year for everybody. But I would say 2021 to 2022, you are going to see so many technology upgrades to Stratus, to Collaborate, to Matrix. So the entire system is going to become user friendly and to a next level. It's going to take us to a next level. And we're going to have so many other associations, affiliations, all wanting to know more about this. I mean, in fact, with the blockchain addition to our system, you will see the difference. It will be like just on a click of a button that you'll be able to access stuff. And I'm not referring just to data. I'm referring to services, to the whole 9 yards. So there's a lot to come with technology. So
I think I know a lot of people in the tech sector, and I know that the board received demonstrations on some of this stuff. We're just waiting for the announcements. I'm imagining, but I think it is exciting.
Major announcements to come.
Right. Okay. So those, and we anticipate sometime middle to end of this month.
You know what, I was expecting it already, and so it's not there. We have our next board of directors meeting the end of this month, so if anything, I would say by March, stay tuned.
Okay.
There's going to be some updates,
so
some really good announcements that's going to take our TRREB members to a whole new level.
So what I've been monitoring, and because I obviously subscribe to a lot of the tech chats, are like the recent acquisitions, like CoStar acquiring CoreLogix, the recent acquisitions by Zillow, all of these maneuvers that are happening south of the border. Mind you, we are affected because that's where the vast majority of the tech RE tech, I guess you could call it, real estate tech, is occurring. Do you see that trickling upwards into TRREB, into Ontario, into Canada, more so than we can see?
Here's the thing. I think a lot of these companies are also redefining themselves, right? And if anything that the pandemic has taught them is purpose and where the industry is going and what's going to be important. I mean, if we think about our system, right, we know that the government wants it. We know that everybody wants our data at the end of the day. And I will tell you, like, TRREB spends a lot of money on preserving our data, and that's important. And at the end of the day, I don't know that I can say that, that we're going to attract more of that. I think it's just natural, right? And I don't think we should look at it as disruption, because there's still so many opportunities, and what's in front of us and what's going to be presented is going to shape and change things. Like, people are just going to be more intrigued to what TRREB and TRREB systems are going to be like.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we're halfway through our time span. Lisa, I want to give you the opportunity to gush, because I'm actually, we've been friends prior to your presidency, and I think I would like everybody on this call to recognize your accomplishments since becoming president. What was it, 7 months ago? But when you were running, you and I had several conversations about, what I expected and what I think, it was really important for you to be, because you're one of the very few, agents
I'll put it out for you. I am 10th woman in 100 years, sixth minority in 100 years. And I'm not tooting my own ego, but I will say that I have been one of the hardest working presidents in the time of Trump.
I gotta completely agree with that. Now, what would you say is your thus far? Because you still have about 5 months left in your presidency.
That is correct. Yes.
What is your greatest accomplishment thus far?
Well, you know what? I made a pact to Charles, and so I'll just state that because that did come up in my thoughts this morning as I had a conversation last night with a group on Clubhouse, which is Women and Wine, and we were talking about the industry and some of the barriers for women. And of course, my pact to Charles was that I would always stay true to who I am, and I will say that I've stayed true to who I am throughout this process. And everybody thinks that being at the helms of the table is like glorified. And I will tell you, I spend night and day working for you guys. I take me out of the equation, and everything I do is about the membership in the industry. And I will say the connections are the key. So I've developed strong connections across Ontario, across Canada. I've connected us to France, and now I am going to be connecting us to South America and Germany, Italy, Spain, and I'm working on the Bahamas. So I've got a lot of other countries that and hoping to create a bigger global aspect for all of us. So what this is, and just in case nobody knows, there is a link on Stratus, but it's probably so small that you don't even notice it. And we have global partners where we share information. And that information is what's happening in our prospective markets. But I'm hoping that even when I finish my presidency, that I still get that piece and get to take it to the next level, and where it's not just going to be about global exchange of information, but that we're actually going to be able to participate in different events with those countries. So I'm working on that as we speak, and that is going to take a little bit more time because I also require staff resources and everything else with it.
You said something earlier as well in the week that you have accomplished what previous presidents have not been very good at, and that is mending or improving relationships amongst all the other boards that surround us. Can you elaborate on that?
So, there's always been a stigma, right? And we're familiar with stigmas, right? We see them in houses and so forth. There's always been stigmas that a lot of boards and associations don't want TRREB members trading in their backyard. Well, if the only thing that the pandemic has taught us is that TRREB members are everywhere. And literally, I mean, your license is all up Ontario. So you're seeing that surge all over Ontario. At one point, our pocket on that map of Ontario was primarily just the GTA. But in what we've discovered, I mean, we were just under 60,000 members today. And I will say that out of that 60,000, they are across Ontario, and you guys play the biggest role in all of this. And I think that ultimately that stigma was that, TRREB was a big bad wolf. And in creating connections and relationships with fellow presidents in Ontario, and I guess the approach of leadership over the course of this last year, people have called me not only from around the world, but from other boards, and just have thanked me in the process of creating that connection and realizing that TRREB is not that no, we're not trying to own Ontario in any way. And even though we have TRREB members all over Ontario, I will tell you the local boards still play a strong part of it. Sure, would we like to create more partnerships and alliances? Absolutely. But there's still challenges in that scope, which are a lot more detailed that I can't get into, but happy to chat with on a one-to-one basis. And so it's getting through some of that hurdles, but breaking the standpoint of coming to an understanding that we're all here for the same purpose and trying to do the same thing. and that's service the public, service our clients, and do service overall for our industry.
So Tanner just actually posted an obvious comment, and I kind of predicted this would be one of the questions: is will TRREB ever have a platform like that to replace Connect?
So I will tell you what happened. You guys were paying for it. Like TRREB members were the only one paying for it. So everybody wanted to use the platform, but nobody wanted to pay for it. What I will say is, with the new technology coming, there's going to be different types of integration that will be like Connect, but better. And those that want it will have to buy into the system, right? Like, so I can't release too much more on that, but I will say that, those things were thought out, and when they removed Connect, it was in the best interest of our members. And everything that is that comes down on a decision is always in the best interest of you guys.
That's awesome. So guys, I've enabled all of you to post comments and questions in the chat box. But if you want to raise your hand, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask Lisa a direct question, please feel free to do so now, because I don't want to take up too much of her time.
And while they're doing that, I'm just going to give some high level things that are to come. Guys, normally we would have a lot of economic outlook segments across the GTA, and of course, this is one of the bigger challenges, is that in being still in lockdown, being still in a pandemic, that we're not going to be able to meet anytime soon. So but we are going to do the best we can. So we do have a Black History Month podcast, the first ever, and you do not want to miss it. So your fellow colleagues that sit on the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force will be sharing some insight of what that really means, where we take this, how does it impact real estate. The Diversity and Inclusion Task Force is also got some massive data that they're working on that's going to help us with demographics and understanding the behaviors within our own association. So that's still to come. March is Women's Month, Women's Day, and we've got an incredible virtual event coming up, and you don't want to miss that one. So that's still to be released, and it's going to include different speaker series. It's going to talk about the areas, the barriers within the industry for women, and I encourage everybody to take in and learn from that. Our volunteer opportunities. So I will say this because I have been heavily involved in organized real estate, and I love it. So if you have the opportunity to give back to your industry, I would say definitely put in your application. So come March, that will be released, that you can put in your application to get involved for committees. So stay tuned for that. And I already explained who the new partners were and new technology. I think I've covered everything that's to come within the February to March. And outside of that, April high level, we're working on those things as we speak. And of course, in May will be our AGM. But prior to the AGM, we will have the opportunity to run for the board. So if you are interested in sitting on the board of directors, then there's the opportunity to put in your application. And of course, if you want to chat more and learn about that side of things, you're more than welcome to reach out to me anytime.
There was a comment, a question about cryptocurrency being integrated in, I guess, real estate transactions. Has that been addressed at the board level?
No, it hasn't. Okay. Not at this point.
We all know that Elon Musk made a big investment in cryptocurrencies recently. So I guess that is on the forefront of everyone's mind to see exactly how that's going to play a factor in purchasing or using that as a form of currency in a real estate transaction. I believe that the TTC is already looking at adopting it, because I saw they actually had a cryptocurrency machine at one of their stations. Did you see that at the Finch station?
I didn't see it. Did anyone else see it?
Yeah, it was kind of yeah, you can get on the subway with Bitcoin. It seems kind of small in comparison to a real estate transaction, I guess. But I guess it's creeping into our society.
Well, you know what? If you look at Bitcoin, that's actually been very slow in the progress, right? So I still think that there's still too many nicks and crannies that would have to be worked out on something like that. and it's not on the high level. So would say that, you know, just like you said, in terms of large transactions and so forth, I think it's still something that has come up in the past, but hasn't really come to the surface at this point. And I will tell you that TRREB is always got your best interest. So if it's something that's going to be high level, they would already be on it.
That sounds about right. Okay. Any further questions for our president, Madam President of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board?
You know what, I will say one more thing too that I didn't get to acknowledge you guys is we celebrated our 100-year anniversary in November. So I, you know, from my heart to all of you, I send you guys so much love, and all of that 100 years is because of all of the things that you guys do every single day. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. So we won't keep you from your next appointment. But I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you know, taking the time out and talking to us, because it was a pure treat to have you on this call.
Charles, you're the best. I love you guys. Remax West, you know, you guys rock.
Thank you, Lisa.
And happy selling and good luck out there.
Thank you. Okay, guys, so next up, I've got my mortgage people online, and I'm going to go through my tablet here. Maury, you're the first on my list here. You want to unmute yourself?
Hi, Charles.
How are you?
Good, good. Busy, trying not to go insane.
So how's the mortgage industry?
Good. We do a lot of financing these days. People who had interest rates from before COVID and the rates are high, we look into the penalty. If they want to break that penalty, if it makes sense to pay that penalty and get lower interest rates, so I do the math manually to see if it makes sense for them to make the move. And cities coming up with the spring market, they haven't done it yet, but they're coming up with the spring market promotion, so they give out cash to those who get their mortgages with it. So it would kind of cover the legal fee and appraisal fee. On bigger mortgages, the customers will also be left with some cash, which is good. Keeping busy, putting all those deals in the system. Yeah.
Looks like we're still having audio problems.
It's slow, like back.
Yeah, Maury, we're still having audio problems with you. Sorry about that. Okay, and I think I saw Carla on here. There you are, Carla.
Hi, Charles. How are you?
Good. You're glowing.
Thank you.
You made the announcement already. That how far are you in your pregnancy?
I'm almost 8.
8 months.
Almost.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you're ready to go.
Congratulations, Carla.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And look, she's going to be working right until the baby pops.
Oh yeah. And right after that too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Papa is the one that is gonna be the lucky one who takes the paternity leave. So yeah.
Oh, right on. Right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anything new on your side that we should be paying attention to?
So rates continue to drop. I think like there is going to be a little bit more of a decline on the fixed rates, and also variable rates are like seems to be, the discount seems to be going down. I mean, the 0.99 is still 0.99. I meant for more like the conventional side. We can get, like, if the mortgage is over $1 million, we can probably get something about around 1.3 variable, which is amazing.
1.3 variable for what? So that's a 25-year AM?
No, it will be a 30.
A 30-year AM. Wow.
30 year. Yeah, recently, yeah, we managed to get that for a client, which was fantastic because I couldn't believe it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's so low.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
but how are you finding, I guess, pre-approvals? How is that going?
It's crazy. It's crazy with the pre-approval side. Like I mean, we do have to, because the way I work is that we do the specific pre-approval for the specific property that the client is putting the offer, just to maximize the purchasing price, the purchasing power. When we do that, like now, you know, before it used to be like five houses, 6 houses. Now, like I find like 10, 15 houses, because it's very competitive, very, very, very competitive.
So you're also seeing, like we're seeing, there are more buyers than there is houses out there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We need sellers. Please, we need sellers.
At one of my offices, our inventory was so low when I last checked it. There was like, we only had one house for sale on there, and I think we had like 14 leases as our listings. But just recently, we ended up getting about 3 listings on our system, and so that's obviously padded the appointments. Guys, we need your listings for you guys that are on this call. If your inventory is on my system, I can hire staff to handle and you know, manage your appointments. If I don't have any listings and I'm not getting any appointments, I've got to make some serious choices here, because I can't be having you know, staff just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. So but I know that they are busy on the flip side for my buyer agents who are, you know, need help preparing offers. And the number one complaint is that everyone's going into a multiple offer situation. So I do get these late night calls from agents who are involved in a multiple offer situation asking me, what can I do? Can't I do? This is happening, that is happening. Is this right? Is this wrong? It's one of those really strange scenarios. And you know, having, you know, if you have a client, a buyer, and you've been involved in, let's say, several multiple offer situations, and you've lost all of them, and your buyer starts to get frustrated, that relationship gets very strained after a period of time. And I know that some of my agents are struggling, trying to keep these buyers in line. And it's not like you did anything wrong as the agent. You know, they're just they're not in a position to compete at, you know, $300,000 above asking. It's nuts. It's just nuts. You know, they get their hopes up high. You're showing them properties, and all of a sudden, you know, the listing agents are looking at you saying, you know what, you're not even close. It is the number one frustration, and I can feel it. I feel it, guys. And also for my listing agents, getting bullied with bully offers and taking false information, right? So it's, sorry, Charles, is everyone able to turn on their camera towards end so I can take a picture for social media? So that's Jasmine, guys. For those of you who have your cameras off, if you're able to turn your cameras on, we'd like to take a social media post. But just to continue on with what I was saying, I am getting lots and lots and lots of complaints, I guess you can call them, in regards to people trying to bully their way in buying our listings prior to the offer presentation date, which everyone seems to be adopting. So the multiple offer situation is really, it's almost here to stay until further notice. And if you're a listing agent and you get weird comments from the, like I got an interesting one yesterday about registration. Guys, there's nothing in the legislation that addresses that an offer has to be registered prior to an offer presentation date. We don't have to register an offer if we've disclosed and we've got written direction from our seller, right, that they're not going to review any offers prior to the offer presentation date. So, you know, don't, you know, like they're bullying my staff on the phone, saying things like, you have to register my offer. No, we don't. Because I know exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to scare people away because they know how our system works, right? As soon as they register that offer, you know, everyone gets an email that there's an offer, and it creates pandemonium. All of a sudden, people are like, well, I thought you're holding offers until next Thursday. Well, I am, but where did this come from? Well, they went in through TRREB. They clicked on to the online appointment tab. They got into Broker Bay, and they started registering offers, causing an S show. So guys, please take it from me. If you're the listing agent, you are in control of the situation. work with the front desk. Okay, we can control the situation. If you lose control of the situation, that's usually when the complaints start to occur. Sorry, I think I missed a couple of questions in the chat here. Are recent sold price getting full value appraisal? Yeah, that's a mortgage question, I think. If someone's putting in an offer of $300,000 above asking, is that, and it seems above fair market value, what's happening with that?
I think
We
you know,
just we just have to
Sorry.
rely on the appraisal.
Yeah, but
You
are
know-
the appraisals, are they appraising? I guess that's the question.
Yeah.
they
Yes.
they always take a look at the last 3 months of sale activity. So let's remember that sometimes one of the strategies is to list it at a lower market value. So what they basically do is just take a look at what really has been sold around the neighborhood, and that's going to be the fair market value, regardless if was like $500,000 more or something. Like, as long as there are comparables to the price, the client shouldn't have any problem getting the appraisal at the right amount.
So I've got a buyer right now, and they are looking, they started at 900 and something thousand. Now with the recent comparables that have sold, they are in the 1.2 to $1.3 million range. That's how quickly the market has changed for them. Okay, so now there's a property that came on the market just recently for 1.5. There is no comparable, right? That has sold at 1.5. Now, if they go in at 1.5 even, is it gonna appraise?
Oh, that's hard to say. If there is no
Yeah.
comparables, that's just the way they are. Like, it doesn't mean that they are not gonna finance it. They will still finance it, but they will have to come up with whatever the discrepancy they think the house is really worth. So if they come back and say, you know what, I think your house is valued at 1.3 instead of 1.5, they will have to come up with the 200,000. That's the only, well, that's a huge risk, of course. But
So that $200,000, the last comparable sold for 1.3. They're asking 1.5. They want to go in at 1.5. They got to come up with whatever they were pre-approved for plus the 200 grand.
Keep in mind, Charles, that they're gonna put in less down payment, because let's say if the down payment is 20%, now it's gonna be 20% of 1.3, not 1.5. So they're gonna be left with more money that they were originally going to put that towards the down payment. So they still have to come up with more money, but it's not the difference of the 1.2 to 1.5, because now they're putting less down payment. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Also, something about low inventory. We do a lot of bridge loans these days because it's hard to find properties, and customers try to buy a property first, then they sell the existing principal resident. So the dates are not matching, and we do a lot of bridge loans. So if you have a client who's worried about that, keep in mind bridge loan is an option.
Say that once more time. What's an option?
Bridge loan. So let's say if customer wants to buy and they buy something for, I don't know, May 1st, and they sell the existing property and the closing date will be not May 1st, and they need the money in between before the existing property is sold because they need the down payment from the sale of the property they currently own, they can get a bridge loan for the days in between, because they don't have the down payment. So we give them the money. As long as the existing property is sold firm, we lend them money for the down payment, basically.
So I think Rosa asked the question, does it matter where the money comes from? It does?
Absolutely, it does. Like if it came as a gift from parents or something, that's okay. If it came from the savings or something along those lines, that's okay. But if just magically appeared, that's not okay. If it's a loan, we have to take it into consideration in our ratios. So as long as it's a gift or is part of their savings, is okay. But otherwise, we do have to explain how 200,000 appear.
I think that stems from the old security scams when people were borrowing money to buy stocks, right? That's a very precarious position to be put in, especially in the recent climate of the stock market with all these, you know, these ridiculous stock prices going up and down. It seems a little volatile. We don't want to see that in the real estate industry, do we?
Charles, quick question.
Yep.
Let's say if you're on the listening side, I heard there is a clause you can add to cooperating offer that in case they don't close the deal within 24 hours, the deposit will be released to the seller without suing. Is that correct?
So that's called an irrevocable direction. You should consult your lawyer on the verbiage. I have seen irrevocable directions for people who fail to close. It is precarious only because without the proper verbiage, it's not enforceable.
It means Remax West cannot release money.
No, why would we release money without direction? We need direction from an officer of the court to release those type of funds, right? So if we can't get that, how are we supposed to release it?
It means that clause is nothing.
It's not mean that the clause is nothing. The verbiage is what matters. And so the language that's in that clause is what you need. Don't take it upon yourself to write this stuff, guys. You guys are not qualified, right, to write this stuff, right? Always defer. Now, I've seen clauses at work because I work in the commercial space. We have unrefundable deposits for a due diligence period of hundreds of thousands of dollars because my clients who are well-to-do, they don't negotiate, you know, 20, 60, $100 million deals without a lawyer present. But he's got to pay the lawyer, right, to go through all of this paperwork and negotiate this on behalf of the principal. So guess what? That costs money. And the lawyer, he wants a retainer. In some cases, $50,000 just as a retainer, just to negotiate this with a prospective buyer. So that is a net loss. If that deal does not solidify, my client, who is a seller, is out of money. And he doesn't want to be in that situation. So if you want to negotiate with him, you will provide a deposit and it will be non-refundable. That shows me that your interest is legit. I know it seems a little foreign to a lot of people on this call, right? But this stuff does exist. Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay, so I don't write this stuff, guys. I've seen it. I can regurgitate it. I might be able to provide you an example, but please don't use it without talking to a lawyer. It is one of those scenarios that you just don't want to be caught. And I've actually recently been involved in a RICO case where the agent wrote something and it was completely called into question because the intention of that particular clause was not the way that it was interpreted on the other side. It's not what you think you wrote. It's how it was interpreted on the other side. Now we all go into these offer situations with the best of intentions. So the intention can only speak to 1% of what ends up happening at the very end, right? I know this is your favorite topic, guys. Like, you know, I sometimes I talk about some of my RICO cases on these calls. I don't really want to talk about that today. We will leave that for another time. It is already 10:46, and as I promised, I was going to try to keep this a little bit short. Is anybody else got any other topics or something that's happened within the last week that they want to bring up to this group and see if they want to put it on the table to see if they can talk through it? Can we take a picture? Yeah, like, okay, so Yasmin, you want to take a picture? Guys, turn your cameras on. And for those of you who have a cat or potato filter, you can turn that on as well. You guys see that on CNN and on CP24? Somebody had that cat filter. It was a legal Zoom call.
Okay, I'm gonna take it.
I was just trying to figure out how to do that.
1, 2,
I saw that.
3. Okay, wait, I'm gonna wait for Matt.
Matt,
Matt, yeah, I have the full view of everyone right now.
and we lost Nadine.
Nadine is the only one? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Got it. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing you. Anybody else? Jen Rothschild, I saw that you unmuted yourself.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Let me fix it.
Anything going on in the last week? Nope. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Last week, just tidying up a few things, and I write my broker's exam tomorrow. I write it, so
Wow.
I'm getting ready for that.
Congratulations. I hope you do well on it. I guess I should mention at the end of this call that so what obviously changed a lot since last week to this week was the number of applications. So that we got for the ITSO access. Those are the outside boards. So as many of you know, we got full membership into TRREB, which is the Mississauga Real Estate Board, which gives us access to all of the Ontario boards that are on the matrix system. So that was the solution that was provided to us, as you know, in the absence of having Connect, which was free through TRREB. We now have to pay $900 plus the $300 initiation fee to get access to their system. The difference between the interboard access that we had prior to 2 weeks ago to what we have now is that we can now broker load. So as listing agents, we can now share all of our listings to the 15,000 agents that are outside of Toronto. And so that is a value proposition that you should be including in all of your presentations. Now, if you yourself did not purchase the membership, anyone who has a membership can, on your behalf, broker load that listing to ITSO. Okay, but hopefully that person's in the same branch as you. So reach out to the people that have subscribed. I have a list in my offices of those people. I know that some of my agents are part of BDAR up north, and as for those of you who know BDAR inside and out, they're very protective of their market, as are the Hamilton agents. But generally, a lot of the people are trying to protect their particular boards. But we've taken the strategic advantage of now being members, so they can't hide, and they can't hide from us, and we don't want to hide from them. We want to be the premier choice for anyone who wants to list with us, and if they would like that additional exposure, we can now offer that to them. So if you need more information, please reach out to your branch administrator or to myself, and we will show you exactly how much it's going to cost, and we can get you signed up. It was amazing when we were first getting the applications. They were literally signing up people the same day. That's how quickly this stuff gets turned on, guys. So if your credit card clears and all that kind of stuff, and the application is signed and filled out properly, if you get it to them early enough in the day, by the end of the day, you will have your ITSO access. So it is a great system. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did find listings that were not on TRREB, that were on their system in some of the shared border areas that I was servicing. I was shocked. So there are additional listings out there that we're not exposed to because they're on a completely different real estate board's computer system. So guys, take advantage of that, and hopefully we can do a little more business as a result of that. Okay.
Charles?
Yep.
So you may have already answered this 100,000 times,
yep.
But with the ability to choose Matrix or Stratus, if I choose Matrix, is the converting over or including the IPSO that much easier? No,
not
it
at
doesn't
all.
matter. Okay.
You know what? It took me a while to get used to all the new terms. For example, what is active versus new? What is pending versus sole conditional? Like there are a number of things that are completely different about this system. For one thing that was revealed to us in the past week is that when we were broker loading a condominium listing for an agent into TRREB, was the condos, when you have a +1, for some reason, Matrix doesn't recognize the +1. So you don't see 1 + 1 like we do in Stratus. So we see the 1 bedroom, but the den, which we configured properly, and we actually called the real estate board office asking why we can't see 1+1. It doesn't recognize the +1. So that is a bit of a disadvantage for Matrix. I don't know if they're looking to correct that, but I don't think it was really designed with the condominiums in mind, because obviously a 1+1 is worth more than a 1. A 2+1 is worth more than a 2, and so on and so forth. So not to be able to market it that way seemed a little bit of a disadvantage. So as much as I love the Matrix system, and I think it's slick, it's cool, it's modern, it's just not quite there yet. So I'm going to say this again. I'm staying with Stratus. I've got too many of my clients on Collaborate, and I don't want to pull them off. So I pretty much married myself to Stratus until something better comes out. So and you've all got until next Wednesday. They gave us a 1-week extension, so you have until the 17th to make that final decision. I hope you guys test drive it, because really it comes down to being a personal decision amongst all of you. If you guys like it, take it. Okay, it's only you're only married to it for 1 year. Okay. Anybody else? All right. I hear a dog. That's probably Carla's dog. So guys, until next week, thank you for joining me. I hope you guys had a great hour with me. And same time, same place next week. I may have to actually advance. I've got a tentative a meeting at 10:30 next week. I may decide to run next week's mastermind at 9:30 in the morning to 10:30, so I can jump on my 10:30 call. But I will keep you posted via email and through Broker Bay about those changes if and when they occur. Okay. So until then, stay safe and have fun, guys. Take care.